Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, joined as always by Brian. We are going to be discussing the 1997 version of the Odyssey that aired on NBC in the summer, and we are going to talk about inevitably the 2026 version that just came out this weekend. Both Brian and I, of course, had to see it very early on, and we're going to be talking about that experience as well. As always, leave a 4 or 5 star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Click on the bell icon for notifications. Brian, you know what is not a good idea is to watch the 1997 version shortly before or after watching the 2026 version. It is like watching like WWE wrestling and then like watching $5 wrestling. That's what it came across like.
Jeez, what an insult. Look, the 97 version is not that, well,
It's definitely not terrible,
it
but
has moments of terrible stuff. I'll give it that. But
there's
it's
some really
not
bad
like,
performances. There's some
okay, we'll get to that because it's,
choices
again, it's a
made.
TV movie and it's got TV
It
actors mixed with
is.
movie actors. And I told you last week that it's a weird mix anytime you get those two together because, you'll see the quality in performances comparison wise, right? And I think you see that because I think Armand Assante is like really good in some parts, and then he's really bad in some parts. But then the third act, he's really great because that third act is a great third act, even in both parts, I think.
I mean,
But
I think that third. I mean, the thing about the third act is it's like it's really hard to fuck up, and the thing is that like in the '97 version, it's fine, but I watched that and I'm like, oh boy, Christopher Nolan's gonna fucking eat on this scene,
I
and he
know that was the
absolutely
feeling I
did.
got too. Yeah, like it's like he watched the '97 version and then got a dog because apparently that was the whole thing is that he got a dog recently after his kids went to college, and he figured like, oh, the Odyssey is like the ultimate dog story, so I'm going to tell the Odyssey. So thank you, Christopher Nolan's dog. But that's kind of like what happened, and I bet he watched the '97 version. It was like I could direct the fucking shit out of that, and really in comparison he does obviously, but you got to give the TV version some credit. um, they did some things that you wouldn't think a TV version of a movie like The Odyssey would pull off, like the sea creatures, Hades. Like they got a lot of the visual stuff down, but not
I think
like
there's some choices that are being made, and some of them are not terrible. But I think the issue that there are clear limitations. They're clearly going for something, but you're not going to see this like a broadcast network just can't do it. Like they can't put forth the money. It's not financially viable for them to put in the amount of money that it would take to do right by this story. And I include everything from the Trojan horse to the Cyclops to Hades to the ending sequence with all the bows and arrows. I mean, it's really hard to execute this movie well. And like, this movie, the way that they do even the Hades stuff is very different than I think any other interpretation.
yeah, because they literally went for the actual physical descriptions that we've seen and illustrations of the river of Styx and
Yeah,
like the way that
'97. They actually
they
go
they
into
went actually went for the full experience. Nolan goes away from that, which I kind of respected because I was expecting a whole river of Styx, and they kind of went away from that because even like The Simpsons, right? Whenever they do that, they made fun of it. They were in the river of Styx, right? So okay, in this version, it kind of looks choppy because of the CGI, but if you kind of get past it and see what they were going for, like you see ghosts, but like the ghosts are hollow, so you can see through them, so it makes sense that they're ghosts. And then this is the part where Jerome worked himself into a shoot. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but Jerome texted me, I guess at the moment that he sees the guy behind in Hades, the guy that he's looking for, and he doesn't see his face. And the guy, he texts me, might as well be Sauron. And then what did I text back? You worked yourself into a shoot.
I did. Yeah, Christopher Lee in the Odyssey '97 for about 2.5 minutes, and I am really hoping that he got paid well. Hope he got a nice
I
nice
mean,
bonus check.
the teeth they gave the teeth they gave him was like really creepy. So I I am credit for the makeup job because man, the teeth were
I mean,
ugly. They
look,
look
he
like
does a good
British teeth.
job, but it's his performance is definitely better than Vanessa Williams, who I never been
Okay,
like it's bad.
okay.
It's bad. Her performance is really bad. Like it's easily the worst thing in the movie.
Okay, so I know we're jumping all over the place. I think we got to kind of start off with. Armand Assante, right? Like I feel like he's the basis, right? He's
He's a
Odysseus.
mixed bag. He
He's a
definitely
mixed
does some good
bag,
things.
and the movie opens in a very Tom Cruise way. Did
Right.
you notice the Tom Cruise way? He's
He is
just
running.
running, and yeah, his baby's being born at Telemachus, and I gotta admit they did use like locations, like they didn't just all use CGI and green screen.
No,
So I gotta.
it's not all CGI. I don't know where they filmed this, but they definitely did not
I
just
mean,
go into
it looks
straight
good. Like
location.
if they could have fooled me, if they would have told me it was like filmed in the valley where the rocks are, because like the way they did Italian westerns and you kind of go back and forth, switching
I'm sure they did this
something.
either in California
Yeah.
or Eastern
So
Europe, one or
yeah, so
two.
we get the whole thing with the war, and so this is kind of where my rant starts about Troy the movie. I know you don't like that movie either. I have
It's
some
not
soft
great.
spots for
Can
it.
I interrupt you? I do think I need to point this out that American Zoetrope is behind this. So Francis Ford Coppola, I definitely did see his name as a producer. I don't know if that has any significance. I'm sure that that's why it
I'm
got
sure
made
that
with
was the
the
money. I'm
budget.
sure that was his name to get on there to get the production money. And by the way, the director of this, I can't pronounce his name. It's really hard to pronounce. Andrei Kachoflovsky or something. But he directed Tango and Cash, and he also directed this movie called Runaway Train, which I've been wanting to watch, and I want to watch. I want Jerome to watch it too because it's a Canon produced film, and usually Canon produced films are not good, but it's one of those few Canon produced films that was like quality that actually got an Oscar nomination, and it's got John Voight and Eric Roberts. So it's not like this director's not like a hack or anything, right? Because like he's actually got some good stuff. Like depending on what you think about Tango and
Runaway Train
Cash,
came out in 1985. Look at that.
yeah, I didn't know about that movie until I saw the Canon doc, so that's why I'm fascinated with that movie. And it's got Eric Roberts and John
$9
Voight.
million dollars. That is a very high budget for Canon Films.
I know. And if you know the history of Canon Films, folks, like you'll know they were always playing with fire with their budgets because they were floating on money all the time. They never had to set anything in terms of money. But this guy's a good director. I think he's solid. And for what he was working with, and given the budget limitations, I think he got the best of what he could. And the beginning is fine. You see the war, and now my okay, here's my soapbox. Troy the movie would have been good if they actually did the 10-year war. They crammed it down to like 6 months or whatever the fuck it was, and they just kind of like rushed everything. And they had all these great actors, but they didn't like give it the time that it needed to be
I
told.
mean, you know why that movie gets made, right? It's like we have Gladiator that just came out. We have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so we're going to kind of do something in that ballpark.
Right,
That's the vibe
right.
they're going, right?
Yeah, and they just wanted to tell it quick and not do the 10 years, which really frustrates me because at least this version acknowledged that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yes.
because even in history class, we did study like the Iliad and the Odyssey, right? Because they do cross over, right? It was very explicit that Achilles died in year 7, like very explicit because in terms of like the time frame and the chronological order of things, Achilles killing, I forget his name, Hector, from Troy, that was like the first big blow. Then Achilles died, then it got even, and then they didn't know what to do at that point because their best warriors on both sides were like dead. So that's where the idea of the fucking Trojan horse comes in, and that's how the end of the war comes. So they got that down right. But in the movie Troy, it's like, how does the TV movie of the Odyssey get it right more so than the fucking big budget movie from 2005, man? So and the guy that plays Achilles in this movie is like a nameless guy, a no face guy, but he's got this like
And that's fine.
Jungle
I
Boy
mean,
energy, right? He's fucking a wild man,
right.
but it
So
works.
what I have to say in terms of the 97 version, what I think works is the fact that clearly there are budget limitations, but like they're trying to talk their way through a lot of this, whereas the 2026 version is very much like fighting their way through it. And I think that there is one thing that I actually think I like more in the 97 movie than the 2026. I think I actually like the Cyclops version in the 97 version a little bit better.
I think so too, and I think it's because I know this sounds crazy, folks, but it's actually more gorier in the '97 version than it is in the 2026 version. And it's just one shot, and I believe you know what I'm talking about, right? Where they cut
Well,
really
I think
quick
it
to the
also
dead
has a
body, and
sense
it
of
looks like a
humor.
spine, like
I,
a spine just like
I
exposed.
mean, the thing about Nolan is like he does not really have a sense of humor. Although there were a couple of jokes in the movie, I actually did think that he was going for some ha-has in this one. But in terms of the 97 one, like he gets him drunk, which I know you had to You always love characters getting drunk together.
I know, and I like that part of it too, because I like the whole thing about him trying to outwit the Cyclops. You don't get that in the Nolan version. It's just like a straight up like, okay, this guy's we have to wait till he's asleep, stab him, sneak out. No, like trying to communicate, and they actually make a joke about it in the Nolan version. Like, should we try to communicate with him? And then, I think,
Yes.
and then Damon's like, "Do you want to talk to the guy? Like, what do you want to what do you talk? What do you want to talk to him about?" So they kind of like make a joke about this version, I guess, about them talking to
I
the
mean, I'm sure
Cyclops.
it's
But
more the source material. I'm sure it's more
yeah,
directly.
and I'm sure it's that too. And I guess that's why I appreciate some of the stuff in this version because they try to stay source materialish as in comparison. And then from this point on, like, okay, so I guess Odysseus becomes a love slave or a sex slave two times in this in this version. The first time is with the witch, which we see in the new version, but they change it up where she's got like other younger witches, and she changes back his men from the animals, which is kind of like a famous story in the book. And in this case, he has to sleep with her in order to like appease
By
her.
the way, we need to take just a couple minutes and say that Samantha Morton is really underrated, and she owns the that movie, the 2026 version, for a solid 2 minutes, and I think that's worth pointing out because it's a movie with a lot of very famous people, and there are a lot of really great performances in the 2026 one. Like you could just run down the line. I don't know, man. Like I feel like you can nominate 6 or 7 people from this movie, and they would all deserve it.
Agreed,
And
agreed. And
Samantha Morton would actually be one of them because I think I think that what she does and her delivery and talking about them as pigs and talking about removing their disguises. I mean, it's fucking fantastic.
especially with the context of what you see previous of the pillaging beforehand, so it
Oh
really
yeah,
fits the
it's
narrative.
brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
they
good.
kind of imply some of that too, right, in this one, but they don't really say it. Like some of some of the characters that turn into
No,
animals
absolutely.
kind of reflect of what the like their inner animal, like the big fat guy is like the pig, right? And they make that joke until he turns back. So they kind of got some of that down, but again, they're kind of playing with a script that's very like TV friendly. Not a lot of nuance, right? Like it's not a lot of nuance. It's not a lot of
Right.
subtext.
Like
It's very on the
there are a lot of
surface.
there's a lot of limitations, right? Like
Yeah,
you can't really stab people like you can in the movie version.
but I guess you can get away with like corpses because they really show corpses and
There were
blood in this version.
corpses. There was some blood. I mean, they stabbed the
Well, we'll get to
Cyclops.
that.
There
We'll
was
get to
some.
that because the bloodiest part is actually more bloody in the TV version than the Nolan. So, like after all this
Yes.
traveling, he finds out they've been on this island for 5 years as a sex slave. They leave. They go to Hades. They see Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee tells them, "Hey, you got to either go in the whirlpool or you got to go between this canyon with this giant creature." They end up in the canyon, and that's where we see this creature. And I think the creature, like for what it is, like in the darkness, they kind of cover it up, and it's CGI for '97, so it is what it is, but it's got some life to it. And like, there's
A
all
little
this
bit,
like
yeah.
blood, like they spray blood on the fucking actors all over the place. And I'm thinking like, wow, what a Evil Dead type thing to do, and they got away with it on TV. And then in the Nolan version, it's not even that gory. They just get picked off, and that's it. So I was kind of surprised at that. So there's actually more detail of the monster in this than it is in the Nolan, but they kind of mix smash some of the details as well because they end up going off a cliff, and that kind of eliminates his men, and they kind of cut out the part where most of his men get slaughtered by these giant dudes, right? That can't even speak their same language and just fucking attack him and kill
Yeah.
like most of his men, which I think would have been cool to see in the TV version, but clearly they didn't have the time to or money to do it. And yeah, he goes on from there and then becomes another sex slave again to Calypso, and that's Charlie Theron in the other movie. So that's kind of the comparisons there. Similar kind of journey, but overall it's just a different experience and just
The 97 one is also told in chronological order, and the
oh
2026 one
yeah, that's a big difference too because we know Nolan
it's
doesn't
skipping
like
along.
it, but it's basically you're following the narrative from the beginning, but then once someone else starts telling a story, it's flashback, 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 and it fills the gap. So
Which I think makes a lot of sense. I think
yeah,
it actually makes more sense in terms of like the execution of the scenes to show the Cyclops scene before they show the Trojan horse scene because the Trojan horse scene is much better and it's much more impactful. And you actually see it twice. You see it like there's a version that they show in the first half of them being in the horse, getting out of the horse, and then kind of the initial battle. And then you see it towards the end for reasons that make a lot of sense because Zendaya is playing Athena, but Zendaya is clearly a human being disguised as Athena who gets her head cut off.
Yeah, and they kind of take the same route here because Athena is played by Isabella Rossellini in
Yes.
1997, which is like I told Jerome not to look at the cast, and I'm sure you were surprised to see Isabella Rossellini as Athena. Um,
Well, it really wasn't because they showed all the cast at the beginning in the credits, so I really wasn't surprised.
okay, well, I mean, if you didn't see that part, I think you would have been really even more surprised because she's like what a big name at this point, kind of like
I mean,
worldwide.
she's the person
Not
that
an
you would
A-list
cast to
star,
play
but
this
like
role.
an actress you want in a movie that's gonna get some buzz, right?
You
So
want to cast, I mean, it's Athena, so you want to cast somebody that's really beautiful, and that is Isabella Rossellini, right? Like that's
yeah,
what you do.
so and it's weird that like Zendaya has like the same vibe to the performance. I felt like she just kind of like watched her performance and was like kind of going with that. So it was really good. So I thought her performance as Athena, Isabella Rossellini's performance was good, even though it's very limited. But she shows up and she, yeah, at one point she does a Batman to Odysseus, and I just marked out because like that's a thing now in movies. It's like anytime someone's talking to someone and the other person disappears off camera, it's always called a Batman, right? Like it's a Batman, and yeah, they totally do it on Odysseus here, and yeah, I like how like the statue's talking to him. Oh wait, that was the other movie. Sorry, I kind of mixed up some of the CGI effects, but yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in this. But overall, I think the main thing is like the best part is the end, right? Like you can't really fuck it up too much if you just follow it right. The revenge,
You
you know,
can't.
feel
I
good.
mean, but I think that what Nolan does is he gives it like it feels like a suit. Like the whole last hour is basically like Matt Damon feels like a Jedi or he feels like a superhero, and that's I think clearly the vibe that he's going for. I mean, Matt Damon is portrayed as kind of this fuck up, but like in the end, he is going to redeem himself. And I mean, look, a lot of people talk about Christopher Nolan and the types of movie that he makes, and how the lead character is always like either trying to get home or they're like doing something that takes a really long time and they're trying to get home. And we've had the thing about like how much money have we spent to get Matt Damon home. So there's very much both of those things are at play in this movie, and like Matt Damon has had cameos in Nolan movies. He was a supporting player in Oppenheimer. This is the first time he was a lead, and I could not imagine anybody like this version of Matt Damon, who is definitely older. This is the version of Matt Damon that he's the only choice to play Odysseus because he is. I think you need somebody that is objectively attractive, but is also kind of stupid. But he doesn't know that he's stupid, and I think Matt Damon is very good at playing, maybe a little too well, smart guys who don't realize they're stupid.
I get what you're saying, and it's not tied to the Matt Damon joke from Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I thought you might go down that road, but it's not necessarily that. But
No,
I get
it's
what you're
not. I
saying.
mean, he's definitely
I get what
somebody
you're saying
smart,
because
but he's
yeah,
not.
yeah. We'll talk about that in a sec. I kind of want to close out the '97 one really quick. I think Armand Assante's performance gets really
He's
good
very intense.
once he gets old.
There's a lot of shooting of it. There's a lot of shooting of arrows in the '97 one, which is probably a good thing. And there's definitely some cutting around, and I love the idea that he's been off. Like, and look, he's really stupid, but like the idea is like he's been off at war for such a long time. Like he's been trying to get back, and like he's done all this work to save the land, so to speak. And and all these guys are just trying to fuck his wife. Like I wouldn't blame Odysseus one damn bit for just going off and being like, okay, you want to fuck my wife? Well, here's a lot of arrows. Dodge them at your pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's such a good feeling too. You could see why that like the guy that made the return only focused on that part of the story and just made that an hour 45-minute movie, which we're going to talk about next week with Ray Fiennes. But you can see why that part of the story is so intriguing. It's because that revenge part of it and that feeling of coming home and like, motherfucker, you trying to take over my house? You know what I'm saying? Like that feeling
The
is so
only argument
raw.
that I would make, the only argument, and we'll talk about, I'm sure we'll get to this when we talk about the return, is like, in order to appreciate the revenge, you really need everything else. You really need like him struggling and being an idiot. Like you need all of that before you get to the end. so that it feels earned. And I think in both the 97 and 2026 versions, they do feel earned. So I'm curious how it'll feel next
Yeah, well, we'll see how it feels because I don't know if it's just because we know the story that it feels different than if you didn't know the story. Because I think if you don't know the story and you watch the return, it's like it's not going to hit really as hard. So that's I wonder how it's going to feel to you because since you know the story now, let's just see how you feel. But I thought it was such an interesting concept when I heard about it a couple of years ago. That's why I was so intrigued with it, especially when then they announced the Odyssey. It was like, oh, what a good like way to kind of like follow up on that movie that just came out. So, and in terms of Odysseus being stupid, I kind of have to point out that in the '97 version, initially the reason that he pisses off Poseidon is because Poseidon helps him win the war, and he totally like disses him and like disacknowledges the fact that he even helped them and
week.
said that they did it on their own, which of course is like going to piss off a god, right?
Oh yeah.
And, and it doesn't help that the fact that the Cyclops is actually a son of Poseidon, so that added to it, and then it just became one curse after curse after curse, and then he gets fucked over for 10 years and all that stuff. Transitioning to the Nolan version now, basically what happens is that the Cyclops event happens. He finds out that it's a son of Poseidon, and then he's like, "Who gives a shit about the gods?" Right? And then it's the thing about him shooting that extra arrow, right? That didn't need to be shot at, right? That was
Yeah.
it. Like that was the fucking like, oh no. And there's a couple of those moments in the movie where you go, oh no, like why did you make that stupid decision? And you know that's kind of like the Matt Damon stupid smart thing you're talking about. That look in his face.
Oh yes.
So yeah, it's really well done. Um, I want to talk about John Leguizamo because now we're transitioning to the 2026 version. I would say the it's a 6.5 for me in terms of the TV version. I think you
It's
got it
like
at
a
a
five and a
five.
half for me. Five and a half.
Yeah,
I'm
so that's
right
for
there.
for a TV movie that ain't so bad, right? For like you know what I mean to have some
No,
real
I think
day.
it's a perfectly cromulent telling of the story. It is by no means bad, but man, oh man,
It's got
this
some bad
one
acting, that's for sure. Like I think
it's got
Penelope
tough
was like
moments.
terrible. I thought Penelope was terrible in that movie,
She's
but
bad.
Anne Hathaway fucking rocked it in this one. Um, yeah, I hope she gets a
Anne
nomination.
Hathaway might be the best performance in the movie, like pound for
Oh,
pound.
you know what I think it is? I think it's John Guisamo, dude. Like I don't know. As soon
It's
as you
really, I mean,
see him
John
on
Leguizamo
screen,
is really good. Like at first, I was like, why John Leguizamo? I was like, oh, that's why. I mean, he's really
he's
really good.
got that like, God, it's what's his name, Mickey from Rock. He's got that vibe. Like, I guess because he's so old and he's like, we talked about him during the Miami Vice episodes. Like, he's done so much
Yeah,
in 30, 40 years that all that experience
he's very
was just like
underrated.
on display.
He does not get the credit that he deserves. I would say, and it sucks that he never really has gotten like Oscar worthy attention, and I kind of hope that he gets it here. But boy, he's gonna have some. I think this movie, if this movie doesn't get like 15 nominations, I will be very surprised because it's gonna get a lot. It's gonna get a lot of technical stuff. I definitely think the acting categories are going to be dominated by this movie as well. At least it
Yeah,
could
I
be
mean,
because boy oh boy,
yeah,
you could go. I mean, let's just run down this. Matt Damon definitely should get nominated.
performance of his life, like the best performance of
I
his
mean, I
career.
would say The Martian is the best performance of his career, but this is
Because
up there. This
I
is good.
just recently watched like an idiot. I should have watched it earlier. I just recently watched Ford versus Ferrari, and up to that point, I thought, oh my god, Matt Damon just outperformed Christian Bale in a movie, right? Like I never thought I would say that, and I was blown away. And then
I mean, he's
and
really
then I
good.
remembered like Air came after that, and I remember like God, I really love Air too, and he has that one of those great speeches at the end. So I don't know, man. I think
It's
Matt Damon's on this
surprising to me.
legendary run right now, dude. Like I feel like he's on this
He
legendary run since like The Martian or
he's had a
something.
couple of clunkers, but he's definitely. I mean, I think he should have won for the Martian. I think the fact that he wasn't, the fact that he didn't win for the Martian, I think it's kind of a travesty. So you start with Matt Damon. I would say you could give a supporting nod to Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland. I think Holland is really good in this movie. I will be honest. I think Holland is better in this movie than in at least two of the Spider-Man movies for sure.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Yeah, especially the
I
table scene. God, like as soon as Helen of Troy sees him, she knows. She knew. Like, you know what I mean? Like I love it when like a character knows something right the moment they see something or see another
I mean,
character
for
and you
me,
want to say
like
it out loud.
biggest. the biggest thing
God.
is like the biggest thing about Holland is I think he's mostly better in supporting roles. That because I think about how he's actually better as Spider-Man in the Avengers movies than in the Spider-Man movies. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now. He's really fucking good. I could definitely make an argument for both Pattinson and Tom Holland getting nominated, and Hathaway 100% should be nominated for lead actress. I don't know if the timing is going to quite work out, but she should definitely be nominated. Like I said, I think pound for pound, I think it's debatable whether her performance is as good or better than John Leguizamo, but the speech that she gives to Tom Holland might be what pushes me over the edge because I think that scene is great. And this might be the best a female has ever come across in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Uh, I guess. Damn,
Maybe
I got
Elizabeth,
it back to you.
maybe Elizabeth Debicki in Tenet, but maybe Emily Blunt. I mean, even Emily Blunt is kind of like she has like one great moment in Oppenheimer, but man, this is like she is
Yeah,
not a damsel in distress. Like
that's
she
for sure.
is,
And like, yeah, the way. Okay, so I got to talk about the language really quick because my buddy noticed it too. Because he's like, he said if it was like the Game of Thrones, like old school type language, he wouldn't have understand like half of it. And but because that it's in like modern day tongue, he understood all of it, and that was a big difference. And he's like, yeah, it was a big difference. And I was like, I guess you can get away with that because it is a fantasy, right? Like, it's not historically supposed to be accurate, which I think is some of the weirdest criticism about this movie, right? But yeah, I think just the way it's put together, man, really is well done. And then I think another great performance, man. You mentioned Robert Pattinson. I think Robert Pattinson might be better as a heel on screen than he is a face.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but man, just I'm forgetting like even like God, what's his name? Bernie, not Benny Safdie. That was so
He's
like
in the movie for like 2 minutes and he's
I
really good.
know, but he's
Holy
like I
shit.
don't know what it was, but I think the way they dressed him up like a fucking like
He's a really good
Undertaker.
actor. He's not a good director, but he's a very good actor.
Well, he's got screen presence when he didn't talk, and I thought, wow, like he's a guy that like has like no screen presence in like any other movie that he's in, but because you put him in that armor and the way that they open the Trojan door,
I mean, the
and he's
thing
just
is,
standing
though,
there like
do you not remember him in Oppenheimer? He was really good in
I
Oppenheimer too.
know, but like he didn't say anything in this movie. That's what I'm like, except the end, or not the end, but when he was in Hades. But you know what I
I
mean? Like
mean, he's really
it was such a
good.
weird Darth Vader vibe that they were going for with Agamemnon. Because like, if you remember Agamemnon by the Brian Cox version, it's very like the
Mhm.
mayor from Jaws vibes, right? Like this
Yeah.
is not that. This is definitely not that. It was very much like a Darth Lord kind of vibe to him.
I mean, I also want to point out Lupita Nyong'o. Can we please get her a lead role? Please, please, please.
Well,
Again, totally, very much underused
if you
in
if
this
you
movie.
end up making a
If you're
Troy
okay,
movie again, I guess she could play Helena Troy again because she was actually like really good in the two
yeah,
minutes
she
she
should
was,
be. She deserves a
and his
lot.
twin sister, which was really good because I forgot about that part of the
She's
story.
very good, but she doesn't really get enough time. And
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting. He was like, "Please tell your mother I'm so sorry for everything that I caused." I thought that was like so like, oh man, can you imagine the guilt? You know what I mean? Like, and if the real life like
no,
a whole war started
so
all because of you for 10 years, God.
so if I were making a list of people who I think should be nominated, it would be Matt Damon, Tom Holland. I'm just going to go male actor side. It's Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, and John Leguizamo. All should be nominated. In terms of the female list, Anne Hathaway, Samantha Morton, and Charlize Theron. I think she doesn't get a lot to do, but I think that the Calypso character is one that, and again, maybe it's the context of like Vanessa Williams being so bad, but Charlize Theron is very good at really like towing the line between like she's not evil, she kind of gaslights him, but it kind of makes sense.
Well, she
Like
made
I
him a
think she's
drug
got the
addict.
right.
I like that twist because I don't remember that from the other one. I don't think that might have been in the original poem. Him
It
taking the
might be,
lotus
yeah.
flower and implying the whole drug thing and like, oh, so he was there for 7 years. Oh, he was a drug addict. So you know what I mean? Like that kind of makes it seem like, oh, no wonder he didn't realize he was there for 7 years because he was so fucked up on the lotus flower. But
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta mention John. I keep forgetting his name. How do you pronounce his name?
Whose
Bernthal?
name?
Barenthal?
John Barenthal. He does a really
Barenthal.
good job too. I don't think he's going to get nominated, but
No, but
especially
okay.
in
So
the Trojan horse scene, I think
I
he does.
this is what I noticed. anytime this guy is on screen, he immediately steals the scene. Does that make sense? Like his
I
presence
mean, this is what people
immediately
were saying in
steals it.
the. I mean, in the first season of The Walking Dead, when nobody knew who he was, that's what people were saying too. They were saying that
God, and
Shane
it's
was a
so
way more interesting character than him.
like as soon as he shows up and he's just eating, like the whole mood changed. Like the whole mood changed, and it felt like he took over the screen because he's got such a powerful on-screen
I mean, I
personality.
felt the same way about Samantha Morton when she was Cersei. I felt the exact same way.
Wow. Okay, because man, that whole
Uh,
conversation
so like,
with
I mean,
Tomakas,
again, we're this
wow.
is a really deep bench. Bill Irwin did a great job as Polyphemus, the Cyclops. I was like, he looks familiar. Like I could kind of tell that it was him. Also great to see Elliot Page in a Christopher Nolan movie again. I think like he was in the movie for like 2 minutes. I was like, why would you do this? Why would you bring him back? And then he was really good in the Hades scene, and just making Matt Damon feel really guilty brought a smile to my face.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. And the catch 22 of like, do you want to sacrifice your whole crew in the whirlpool, or do you want to just sacrifice six of them, go through the cliffs? And he didn't say shit to his crew about it. Ah, man, just the stuff that this guy had to go through. This Odysseus character, it's such
Do
a
you
trial and
realize
tribulation.
that Tyresis was James Remar? Because I did, and in my mind, I'm like, is that James Remar?
Wait, who?
James
Who?
Remar, the guy who was Rain in
Yeah, I know,
Boris
but
on
who did he play?
he was Teresa's, the blind prophet of the Greek underworld. He was in Hades. He was the guy that you couldn't see his eyes,
Oh, so that was supposed to be Christopher Lee, the Christopher Lee role. Okay,
basically.
wow. Okay, because that's I was like, who? Because that was the thing. I was like, I didn't recognize that actor. I was gonna look him up later. Wow, man, that's crazy. Okay, respect, because like, I mean, he did take over the Raiden role, that's for sure. You know what I mean? It's like he's known as Raiden number two,
He's
but
he's probably better known as
but
being
now I think he's known as
Raiden
like
One.
one of the generals from Oppenheimer. I feel right. Like I feel like
No,
that's
he's no, he's the father of Dexter. That's what I think his
oh
official title.
right, that too, that too. I
Corey
also want to point
Hawkins.
out. Go
Corey
ahead.
Hawkins is really good as Polybus.
Yep.
Doesn't get as much shine as Robert Pattinson, but he's a great like sidekick heel. And this movie goes so deep. I mean, Mia Goth, who was on a path to being a huge star, like she was in this, and Logan Marshall Green, who was also kind of on a path to being a big star. Like they're in these two nothing roles as the siblings, and like it's unbelievable just the bench that this movie has.
I also want to point out we know Christopher Nolan loves tokens, right? Right? Like Inception, right? The fucking spinning top. We
Yes,
get two of those in this movie, dude. And like they're both so effective, like the way that the reveal and they're dropped
he loves a
on
good
the
magician.
characters. God, they're so good. Okay, so the first one is with Robert Pattinson, right? Because he's got this token, and Elliot Page is like the guy was the person that got drafted, and he tried to like switch with him, but he said no. So he's
Yes,
got this like survivor's guilt kind of thing going, and then he becomes like the suitor or whatever, and then he's doing the bad shit, and then he gets killed. But like, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, this movie, man. And then the other token is the one that his wife gives him. And then as soon as like he gives it to her, like that was the moment she knew, and it was like, ah, oh, God, this movie, man, they're doing the right things with like not
yeah.
saying anything,
Like
but like telling the story without saying
the,
anything.
the amazing thing to me is like Himesh Patel is kind of the third lead of the movie and isn't really being promoted as such. Like Heracles has a pretty big role, and Himesh Patel is in a lot of this movie, but you wouldn't know it based on the advertising. And I know that he's not a huge star, but it just feels like he could be getting a little bit more credit.
Well, a lot of it's better not like credited, right? Like it's a bunch of like dudes you've seen before. Did you notice like one of them was I think the dude, the main star from the Hot Cheetos movie, right? And he
I
didn't
mean,
say
that's
anything.
fine. I mean, like that's fine.
But I
I
like how
mean,
the crew
Travis
was like
Scott is in this
multicultural
movie
too.
for
Yeah,
God's
Travis
sake.
Scott was in it, and then which is weird because I just realized I guess he's like a contract with Nike, and he wore like special Nikes to the premiere. And where does the word Nike come from?
Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. It's some island in Greece, right? Like that's the right. That's the connection. So it's all Greek for him, I guess, and he's just
Yeah.
making money out the ass. And he did a good job. And I guess he was like not a storyteller. I forget the term, but he's one of those guys that tells stories to a big crowd back in those days. And gets the crowd going, kind of thing. And
Well,
he does that well.
thankfully, Travis Scott does not have to. If they make a sequel, then he won't be in that, I guess, right? Because after his WWE, he did
I
not.
don't
He did
know.
not show up in
As
Road
soon as I
Warrior.
found out, like I asked my buddy, like, did he like hook up with Cena or something? Like he's just like, I don't even remember, dude. I guess he's blocking that out because he watched that
It
WrestleMania.
was really bad.
Well, there you go.
This movie is really good though, and everybody should definitely. I'm sure that most people have seen it. Listening to this, I went to a Limax screen. We don't have true IMAX in Chicago. I think there's one like that they're building in like the suburbs, but I am not going out that far. So I went to a Limax screening. I'm thinking about doing a 70 millimeter one at some point because the downtown theater in Chicago is playing the 70 millimeter version. So I think I'm going to do that.
I try to get tickets for IMAX, but it's sold out practically at all of my
It's
IMAX local theaters.
ridiculous. It is
So
amazing.
what happened was I got tickets for the Dolby, which is good because it enhanced the color and the sound, and especially the thunderstorms. Man, those were some great sound editing, and the siren scene, awesome sound editing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also want to point out it was nice to be at a movie where a director knows when to turn the fucking lights on.
Oh, so you had like special lighting or something, or like because my theater is
No,
just
you can
traditionally.
actually like no, because he actually like even the scenes that are like quote unquote candlelit, you can actually see what the fuck is going on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because that's my big thing about wanting to watch Barry Lyndon. I know that sounds crazy and it's a Stanley Kubrick classic or whatever, but there's no like electrical lighting in that movie. It's all natural. So it's very similar vibes. That was another thing I thought too. Like how did they get the lighting done for all these like night scenes? And you got to just really place stuff really carefully. You know what I'm saying? That's this old school lighting. You just got to place lighting really carefully for it to bounce off, the shadows to bounce off, and what they were wearing wasn't like totally faded out with the colors, and you can still see that what they're wearing at night. So I got to give credit for that too, because that was one of the things I was thinking. Like, oh, it's so dark, but then the scenes didn't like really get affected by it. So that was really good
No.
because there could be some scenes and when there's like a natural lighting and they're going for that natural lighting in old school type movies like this, and it just doesn't work because you can't see anything.
I mean, this
So
movie, yeah, you could actually see everything, and it was great. And
and especially being a Dolby like that, the enhancement
I
helped for
bet.
sure.
I mean, it sounded great even in the theater I was at. Ludwig Göransson did a great job with the score. Again, he's probably going to win another Oscar for this.
I mean, he's working with two of the best. He's already worked with two of the best, so he's like the go-to guy now instead of Hans Zimmer, which is kind of cool because
Thank
Hans Zimmer
God.
needs a little of a break. It feels, you know what I'm saying? Give the guy a break. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely up there. I mean, this Black Panther. I'm forgetting all the other stuff. The Mandalorian.
I
All
mean,
the
whatever my feelings on the Mandalorian and Grogu, the score of that movie is really really good.
yeah, and yeah, I think overall, man, this is a spectacular movie. I got another set of tickets for Monday, 2 o'clock IMAX because that was the only opening that I could find with me and my buddy on because we couldn't get any weekend tickets.
I would
So
love to go to an IMAX screening, but unfortunately, I am not in the vicinity, so I'm gonna probably settle for 70 millimeter at some point. I'm gonna wait for
yeah,
the
and I
gonna
already
wait till
saw
it
the
dies down a
video.
little bit.
Yeah, there's already a video floating around of the comparison, and it looks like they cut out a lot, not a lot, but a lot of the top and bottom. So it looks even bigger and more epic, I guess, on the true IMAX, even with the Dolby, because they had to like ratio it down or whatever it was. But it was full screen, like it did fill up the whole thing. But you could tell, like, okay, this is where the IMAX would have been higher in the bottom and then the top. So
Yeah,
it does make a difference. Um, so yeah, that's my recommendation. 9.5, I guess, out of 10, something like that. I
I'm
think
at a
I'm
nine and
right
a
with
half.
you.
I shot this right to number one on my top 10 for the year. I have
Yeah,
seen
I don't really have a
70.
top 10 here for now, but like this is probably like
I have
standing out on
seen
top.
73 2026 movies, and this is now number one with a bullet. And it is a very competitive year. Like this is not like last year. I was on the struggle bus for a good portion of the year. This year, I think I've already rated like 20 movies 4 stars or higher. So this has been a great year,
Yeah,
and
and you made
this
me want to
is
watch Obsessed before the hype. Like you were in the first round of hype, right? Or the first wave, I want to say.
for what.
Obsessed. Or Obsession, sorry.
Oh, I saw Obsession opening weekend.
Yeah, so you're in the first wave. You were the wave telling the
I
other
I
wave to
was
go
on the
watch it.
first parade, yeah. It's
Yeah,
funny because I
so
saw that and Backrooms basically the same week, and
those two made
yeah,
tons of money, and I missed those. But knowing me, I'll probably do my October thing where I save like those movies for October. And you know what?
I mean, it has
I'll admit it.
been
I put Nosferatu on and I couldn't finish it because that's the only movie I couldn't ever finish because I'm too scared. Honest to God. So, and I'm talking about the new one with Robert Eggers. So
this has been a amazing year. I mean, literally, there are two Zendaya, Robert Pattinson movies that are in my top 15, and there could be a third one in December.
um yeah,
Dune, they're both in Dune.
I know, and I just realized that Robert Pattinson he's the son of, well, spoiler alert, what's his name? Austin Butler's character, if you remember that storyline. So,
Yes,
spoiler alert, but
I
yeah.
we're going to be celebrating Doomsday with Dune, which I don't know which I'm going to see first. It is
I'm going
a
to see
genuine
Doomsday
debate.
first for sure. I think that's my priority. Dune 3, I don't know, I might wait a little bit because I want to know if they're actually going to do certain things, right? I think I know, you know what I'm talking about? Like in terms of certain
No, I
children
don't.
turning into kings for thousands of years. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not as familiar with the source material as I probably
Okay,
should.
maybe don't look it up then, because I think it'll fuck your mind up of what happens in the storyline. So Dune 3 is going
I've
to be,
heard the Dune movies the books get really weird.
oh, believe me, it gets weird. So that's why I'm kind of worried that they better end it
Um,
here and not bring anything else out of those books.
so yeah,
Because
I mean it's been a great year for movies, and I know we're running really long on this episode, but I'll give you my top 10. You want to hear my top 10, Brian, for the year so far?
might as well, because you'll recommend some movies that I'll probably watch.
So number 10, and this is as of right now. This is going to change before December. Number 10, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. This movie is really great. I know I've told you to see this before. You will love this.
Yeah, that was a Netflix, straight to Netflix, or is it Amazon?
No, this was based on an internet show, and it is a time travel movie, and
Oh,
you will never see the Sky Dome the same after watching this movie.
you mean WrestleMania 6? Okay, got it.
Also, the site of where the White Sox are this weekend as we are recording this. Number 9 is Send Help from Sam Raimi.
Did you notice the vibes of Send Help in the Odyssey?
A little bit, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
Sam
did,
Raimi.
man. I did.
Number 8, Toy Story 5. I love that movie. I will defend it, and I'm sure Ben and I are going to talk about it.
And I want that
Number
Oscar category for a best fucking vocal actor in an animated movie. God damn it. One day.
Number 7, The Invite, which I also just saw this week. It's really good. Olivia Wilde, her second movie was terrible. This one's way better. Number 6, Girls Meet Girls. Number 5, Project Hail Mary, which is great. You've seen that, right?
Not yet. I started it on Amazon and then I realized that I didn't
What the
finish.
hell is wrong with you? I mean, that
I've
movie,
been doing this thing lately where I start movies and I forget that like I didn't finish them yet, and that happened with
Jesus Christ, man.
what's the ping pong movie that I was really into? Fuck,
Marty Supreme?
Artist Supreme. I'm like slowly getting through that one, and then Project Hail Mary's next. But that's an also great movie that I'm slow burning through. So
Number 4, 28 Days Later, The Bone Temple, which I think is easily the best of the 28 Days movies. Absolutely.
really, because I am really fond of the second one for some reason. Something about that second one
You
is so,
are a weirdo because that movie's bad.
well, to me it's like they're grasping and it seems like they overcome it and then it just falls apart because of one fuck up. And
And then the
yeah, I
next
get it.
movie literally says that what happened at the end of the second movie didn't happen. So that tells you a lot. Number 3, The Furious, which you absolutely need to see. I
So
just
it's an action spectacular. It's got our favorite Korean actor from
no, it
Train to Busan.
doesn't. It does
I
not.
thought that was him. I thought it was the
No,
big
no,
our
no, no,
fuck.
no. This is something.
Okay,
This is
so he's not our
different.
favorite big boy. Okay, but
He is our
he's still,
favorite big boy, but he's not.
he still is our favorite Korean big boy. That's for sure. That's
He
for
is,
sure.
yes. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wrestling references, so you really do need to see this. Number 2, I Love Boosters, which apparently nobody likes. And my number 1 movie as of right now is The Odyssey.
Yeah, it's spectacular. I couldn't even tell you I love Toy Story 5, so or you know what I mean. So I'm on board with that. But in
Uh,
terms of like what I've seen, yeah, this definitely stands
yeah,
out. And I think by the end of the year, like I get this vibe that like I don't know because from what I've heard, and because I have a friend that works at Universal, I'm not going to really expose much. They're really going to put some Odyssey stuff in the park this year. Like they're really going to try to push it, and I think that's in relation to try to get more Oscar nominations. So don't be
I mean, they
surprised if this
should.
movie gets
I think this
more
movie.
like.
This
more
movie
like in
should
the
get
communal
a lot of
popular. Yeah,
nominations.
yeah, it's going to be really
Like
popular,
I know
especially with
that Nolan's big moment
stuff.
was, for Oppenheimer, and that's great, but like I think this movie is better than Oppenheimer. Absolutely.
I do
I think
too.
this is top tier.
Yeah,
I think this
because
is
of
top
the
tier.
emotional. This has more of an emotional core to it than
Like
obviously a nuclear
again,
core.
I think Oppenheimer's really good. I think it's a really well made movie, but I think The Odyssey is just way better in every conceivable way. Like this to me, this is right up there with Inception and Dark Knight as his definitive best movies.
Wow, well, that's a whole different discussion because I don't know. Interstellar's been growing on me the last 10 years or so,
I mean, that movie's
but
really good
I
too.
still think Dark Knight is the best for me.
I may do a full Nolan rewatch when The Odyssey comes out. I'm probably going to get the 4K of The Odyssey
You know what's
because
crazy is that he's one of the few directors I've seen all his movies, like all of his movies, like one of the very
have you
few.
seen,
I think.
including his first movie, Following?
Was that a student film, and that doesn't count?
That does count, my friend. It is not. It counts. You got to see it if you want to be
Okay, well now I got one to add to the list, but it was a student film
sorry to
technically.
piss on your cereal, but
Well, it's because it's like saying what that Dark Star, and then that actually was a student film that turned into a movie, so that counts as the John Carpenter list. So
I mean, look,
I get it.
if it has an official like release, then it's a movie.
I guess
It
so.
is a
I guess
movie.
so. So I got one to watch, but you know what I mean. Like it's very rare that I'll do a complete shot of a director. I haven't even seen every single Stanley Kubrick movie because of my feelings on Vietnam movies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very
I've
rough
seen
for me
every.
to get through a Vietnam movie.
I have seen every Kubrick movie now.
And you've seen The
I have.
Killing. That's the other one I haven't seen, but I think you like The Killing a lot, so I might actually
That
like.
movie fucking rules. It's really
Yeah,
good.
so I gotta watch that soon. But again, like Nolan is one of those top tier directors where it feels like I've seen almost every one of his movies. Ryan Coogler, I'm almost there. I got to watch Fruitvale Station. I think that might be the only one, and that's another good one I heard too. So
All
yeah, just
right.
great stuff all
This is
around.
it's been a very long. It's been a longer episode.
Well, it's a
So
long movie,
enjoy it.
both long movies. So we're both we just got done watching 2 3 hour versions of the Odyssey. So I think there's a lot on the table to like talk about in terms of these movies. But
And
next week,
yeah, next week we're going to talk about the Odyssey again, and we're going to talk about the return,
but a
which
much more grounded version with Ray Fiennes, and
I
you'll
don't.
see the connections.
I'm very skeptical right now.
Because I mean, if you look at the cast, Julia Binoche is like the
I love the
Penelope.
cast, but man, like I don't know if I want to watch a 2 hour version of Act Three.
Well, we'll see because it's actually I think an hour and 45, but it still has some of those similar beats and well, spoiler alert, like the wound that the maiden noticed, right? Like that was a thing, and the dog, and of course, as I mentioned, if it wasn't for Christopher Nolan's new dog, we would not have this movie. So credit to Christopher Nolan's new dog, man. So we both can relate on that front,
I
I
mean,
think.
he is appointment viewing. Like he is the person that I mean, if he makes a movie, regardless of what it is, like you're going to the theater unless there's a worldwide pandemic. That's the only reason. Like the only Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan movies that I have not seen in theaters are Tenet, Insomnia, and Memento. I've seen everything else opening weekend, and that will continue again as long as there's not a worldwide pandemic.
absolutely. So next week we're checking out the return, the grounded version of what we just saw, but it's pretty much the third act of the Odyssey. So there you go. And then
Yes.
once Greek month wraps up, we're gonna do Ridley Scott month, or not Ridley Scott, the Scott brothers month. Both Tony and Ridley Scott. There's a new Ridley Scott movie coming out at the end of August. It looks really intriguing because of the cast more so than the plot, I think. It's got Josh Brolin. Anytime you got Josh Brolin and a big director, I think you got something there. So that's why,
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a very interesting test of Jacob Elordi and Margaret Qualley
because
because
it
I
just
think
feels already it's like it's been one of those premises of the end of the world that's already been kind of told. But when you got Josh Brolin, I'm like,
again,
okay, you got me here.
again,
So
here's the thing: if it's a good script, it will probably be a good movie. If it's not a good script, it's going to be bad because that
that's
has
Ridley
been
Scott.
Ridley Scott. That's Ridley Scott's career.
We'll
He
talk
can,
about that because I think Tony Scott has got the ability to do the opposite, right? Like, look at Beverly Hills Cop 2, right? Like, we'll talk about that in August because I think we're gonna have an interesting discussion about
yeah.
aesthetically who's the better director, or more like because I think aesthetically, obviously, it's Tony, but the better storyteller is probably Ridley. So we'll get into that.
All right. So for Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next week.